Have you ever met someone who was basically the same person at, let's say, 40 as they were when they were 30? Um, and I don't mean that in a positive sense, I mean that they just like stagnated and stopped developing. Um, Actually, maybe also regressing, um, not becoming, wiser, more capable, more experienced, just older. They're just aging and really not making any progress at all in life. And it's not for the competition or to, to, how do you say, to compare them with other people, but for the sake of them, that they don't, um, they don't expand, they're not as hungry, they're not as passionate, social, young at heart, and they just become old at an early age and just continue to be like that, and nothing new really happens for them as a person. Um, so for many people, at least it was before, the way we learned in my generation was that you grow up, you go to school, you do some hobbies, you go to college, university, whatever, you get your job and you get your kids and family, and then you just you know then you just stop. Um, that's the point when you don't uh, continue progressing in any way. So many people who were like 30, 40 before, they looked much older than their age. They get fat. Not It's not in the sense that it's that you're worse because you're fat, but it's not healthy for you. They stop caring how they look. They don't have anything exciting going on in their life, and they're just the only thing that many people do with their free time. It's just having recreational time. Um, which is fine in some sense. You should always have recreational time to lower your stress and be content with life, but it should not be on the cost of you stagnating or regressing. Um, so at least you should have a little growth all the time, a little expansion of yourself, and that's for keeping you happy, for keeping you hungry, for keeping you to keep you. Um, I don't know. I'm not want to say the wrong words, but relevant in some ways. Um, you I'm turning 46 in a month. I I'm so hungry for life, for just becoming better. I'm still at my age, keep busting new personal records at the gym. Um, I feel young. I feel strong. My head and my psychology, is has gone through a lot. I go through daily torture with some chronic diseases that I have, but still, you know, just because I'm living this level in life principle with always try uh, to develop, I I'm in a place I couldn't even dream of. So I'm a living proof that this works, this framework. Um, and if also I'm jumping back and forth here. I know I have no script, but if your life is that you have the same routines, the same hobbies, the same conversation, the same fears, the same excuses, the same comfort zone all the time. Stagnation is just the beginning, and regression gonna kick in, and automatically you're gonna be depressed. You're not gonna be happy with your life, and it's not because you're not worth as much. It's not that, but somehow your soul, your being, wants to progress. That's gonna give you natural dopamine kicks, natural confidence, natural, mental strength. So instead of getting dopamine kicks from, watching TV shows, playing video games, nothing wrong with that. You should get it from leveling your own character, yourself, mainly. Um, and as I said, stagnation and regression, it costs your mental power, your confidence, your resilience, flexibility, excitement, curiosity, health, social circle, relationships, all of that. And it doesn't. You don't become. You don't regress overnight. It's a little over time. So you don't notice it right away, but after a couple of years, it's gonna. You're gonna feel it. You're gonna look in the mirror and like, shit, what happened? And it's gonna sting. And then the natural like reaction can be that you just fall into doing things that make you feel good in the moment, like junk food, alcohol, drugs, masturbation, pornography, all of that stuff, when instead you should put into your hobbies, your different routines, and just like, as I said, slowly building your character. You're leveling it just a little, little, all the time. It doesn't take much, but over time, all of these compound into great effects. Like in 1-2 years, you can totally change yourself. Like I'm a living proof of that. Um, um, and also, I want to talk. No, I'm gonna save it for another video. But um, I'd also like to say that growth isn't measured by achievement; it's measured by expansion. Like how you are expanded as a person, as a whole, your meta self, how that expands. All these things that you get to become a little bit better at um, expands and make you better. No, sorry, I don't want to use the word better. More expansive as a person. Um, so you might think that, is this some? How long should I do this? Forever, like until the day you die, preferably. That's the thing. It's not. That's the whole like philosophy. The whole framework is about that. That this is a never-ending thing, and it's no end goal. There's nothing like trying to beat another person. It's just to be content with developing yourself, and where you put your time and skills in what areas in life is totally up to you. But I'm gonna deep dive into that, what's good and what's complement each other, and how much you should. Maybe you shouldn't spread yourself too thin, of course. It's good to be specialized in things also. So it's really like in a video game when you put skill points into a character, like you have to be strategic with it. And another thing I want to touch on is that all things can be interesting. When you put time and like focus, and when you start deep diving into all kinds of hobbies and interests, you realize that most things, like everything, is interesting. Really, you can be interested in pretty much whatever you want, and maybe you can have also natural knacks or whatever you want to call it, like a talent for some things. For instance, I've been trying to learn. I have Polish background, trying to like learn Polish is such a hard language, and it totally kills me. It's so hard. I so suck at it. And I've been putting it off for a while because there were other things like this YouTube thing, learning stuff and learning like lighting and just like what gear to have and how to make videos. It takes a lot of time, so I had to, something in my life had to, had to be reduced. So it was Polish. For a couple of months now I haven't been training Polish on a daily basis, and that's because I've been focusing on YouTube instead. So when I start to become better at this and it becomes more natural, I will go back to learning Polish more intensely. And in the meantime, I try to have some conversation with Polish friends or my parents, just to keep it up. But also that language thing, you really regress fast. You really have to keep it up all the time. And I also want to end with, I'm not saying you have to constantly chase more. You don't, because it can become a thing where you don't feel that you're good enough if you don't always chase, always become better. And it's a trap you have to avoid. It's not about that, even though it's very easy to see. It's a fine line. But for me, it's super important to not be stressed. Like for my mental health and everything, I do things and I keep a certain level on things in my life, a certain tempo. And my limit is where I start to feel like stress. That's my that's my top level. I can't do more. I have to know my limits. And also, it's a skill is to learn to rest, learn to chill out, learn to disconnect from stuff. And I have terrible screen time, like, oh my god, and I'm working on that. I'm just human. I have way too bad screen time, for instance. So yeah, as all the other videos, totally unstructured, but it's all part of it. After like video 50 or 100, I will start doing really good edited videos. So this is where I get all the junk out from my little head. Yeah. For anyone who's listening, all the best to you. Bye.